Okay, so lighting's going to be an issue on this video, but I'll do the best I can. Maybe I'll lighten it in post-processing. But anyway, it's time to replace the mixer valve in the shower. Again, this is something I did maybe 9 or 10 years ago, but it's dripping again from the faucet, so it's time to replace. So the first thing I've done is I've turned the water off downstairs. And I need to do that, of course, for various reasons, for obvious reasons, but also just to get the screw out in the bottom, I need to be able to turn that handle on a little bit so I can get the screw out to take this cover off. Out of the shower, excuse me, mixer valves I have, or we have in this house, this is actually the easier one to do. Okay, now with the screws off, it's time to take this off. It comes right off, no problem. Now, there's lots of little pieces in here that can get lost. I'm going to go down and try to get a work light so you can see what I'm doing. However, what you also need to do is put something over the drain down here, because in case you lose little screws, they don't go down the drain and you lose them forever. But let me go get another light and see if I can light this up a little bit, because this is quite dark. Okay, it's a little better. It's still pretty hard to see, but so here's the part I'm putting on. This is a GP7 1969, and the last time I bought this, I sent a picture to a plumbing house, a local plumbing house, and they said, yes, we have this, it's 80 bucks. So I went all the way, to a city that's about an hour away. Excuse me. And I bought this for 80 bucks, but this time I got it on Amazon for $26, and I will put a link in the description to where I bought this. But anyway, this piece comes out, and you put this back in. But you have to be careful here, because when you take these, you have to take these 4 screws out to get the whole thing off. And good luck trying to not get the screws to fall down in here. But we'll see how it works. And wish me luck. That thing's black, so it's hard to see. Sorry about that. There we go. Pretty easy. So I forgot to put a towel in there. Keep the water from going back behind there. Looks like that's it. Great. So here's the mixer valve. So you have 2 seals here, one on each for the hot and cold. Little rubber O-rings. Hopefully you can see that. And then there's a big one under here that keeps the whole thing from leaking. And you want to clean this out a little bit around here so you have a good seal. And try to clean this out in here without scratching it up. Something that's not too abrasive. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back with you. Okay, so to try and clean this, I've got a solution here of 50% vinegar, 50% regular water, to try and dissolve some of those mineral deposits there. So I'm going to reach in here. The O-ring's still in there, so I'm going to reach in there with my knife, and I'm going to try to carefully get that little O-ring out. Not a big deal. Except I just fling it in the toilet. Now that part, actually it's all pretty clean. You see, hopefully you can see in there. You can see a little copper in there. You see mineral deposits around it, but you see copper, which tells me it was pretty good. But I'm still going to squirt this in here. And again, that's 50% vinegar, 50% water. put a little bit of lube on there. Sorry. I'm going to put a little lube on there. Set this capsule over here. And I'm just going to rub it around with my finger to make sure everything's coated. And that's that side. And it goes back on there, just like that. And then I'm going to take the other one off that's pre-fitted. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, I think we got it. Hopefully we have it. So what I'm going to do next after I put this on here is I'm going to go down and turn the water on. Look for leaks before I put that cap back on there. Okay, so just FYI, the reason I'm stuffing paper towels under here is not to prevent leaks from getting behind the wall. It's because if there's a leak, it's going to be obvious on here that we have one, because I'm going to look for wet spots on the paper towel. They're going to show up pretty much right away. So I'm going to put it around the bottom here. I wish this part of it had been cut away, make it easier to get to. So I'm going to turn the water on, and hopefully it won't leak. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the water's on, and I don't have any drips out of the faucet, so that's good. And I don't feel any leaks under here. Definitely want to check this part. You want to pay special attention to this part, because if there's a water leak back there, it's going to be leaking the whole time back behind the tub, down to the floor, could rot the floor. Maybe you could get some black mold. So you want to be careful. That's the main thing. And I don't feel any. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean around here, because this is going to need re-caulked. Keep water from getting back in there. So I'm going to use my 50% vinegar solution. I also need to caulk this. Keep water from getting back there. I'm just going to spray my 50% solution on there. This is old caulk here. I could scrape it off with a razor blade. Maybe I'll do that. Let me find my sponge. Okay, so now that I've cleaned that off with my vinegar, I'm going to make sure it's dry with the paper towel. Now you could take some alcohol and really get this clean. I'm sure that's the right way to do it, but I'm not going to bother. It should be clean enough. Now, there is a gasket on here. Excuse me, sorry. There is a gasket on this piece, but it's old. This gasket really no longer seals. And if you look at it, so there's a little hole down here, there's a little space, and the gasket runs all the way. It's definitely on the top where the water would run. So I can't just put caulk around there. I could get a new one of these pieces, but why bother? Vinegar on there. So I'm going to put this on here. Like that. And I'm going to screw it in, and what I'm going to do is run caulk around the outside to prevent the water from going in there since it's old. So these screws just go right in, not a big deal. Okay, you don't want to over tighten these screws. It's not the time to show how much torque you can put on. Because it's putting pressure on that little mixer valve in there when you tighten these. It's as tight as they're going to go. So now I want to clean up the outside again because that's where I'm going to put the caulk. Okay, so just FYI, when I was playing around here, it looked like I had a leak there when the mixer valve was on, when the faucet was on. So what I've decided to do is put a little less pressure on it. That mixer valve is plastic, and it's kind of cheap. If it was brass, it wouldn't be quite an issue. You know how much pressure you put on there. So it'd be nice if that was brass. It's a piece of plastic, and when you it's screwed down with 4 screws, and then when you put these screws in, it actually it can pull that valve out of the body, that mixer valve out of the body. And the way it does that is because when you put these screws in, it's putting pressure between the fiberglass tub and that mixer valve, because you're screwing this in. This is on the outside, and the tub sticks out further than the valve body. So as you screw these in, if you get it too tight, it can draw that mixer valve out of that brass valve body. So like I said, I'd rather have a brass valve. The other one was fine, it didn't leak. So it's really not that tight, and that's the way I'm going to leave it. Once I caulk this in place, it should be fine. When you use this, you're not putting a lot of pressure on there. So hopefully it'll be good for another 10 years. I wish it was brass. It's not. Oh well. So I've dried this off out here, so now I'm going to put some caulk around there. I need to find. Okay, so what I'm using here is white GE silicone 7-year mold-free product protection. Fights bacteria and fungus. It's ready for water in 30 minutes. Lifetime guarantee. This is what I use all the time, either the white or the clear. I'm just going to put a little bead around the outside, and then I'm going to come back with my finger and I'm wipe it on. Probably end up wasting some caulk, but don't worry about that too much. Okay, let me show you my bad little caulk jobs. There's the top, there's the right, and that's a nice bead on the left. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a thing of beauty. But there it is, and that's going to be dry in a half an hour. By the way, I've got the ventilation fan on in my bathroom. This is pretty noxious stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to caulk this faucet down here. So there's the bottom. Doesn't look too bad. The top's caulked. It's a done deal. It's not dripping. It's not leaking. We're all done.